Hi guys, Darth Deuce here back with another video, and today continuing with my various top 10s of 2022 lists. I'm going to be doing my top 10 Marvel Legends figures of 2022. I almost didn't bother making this list because I've been trying to slow down on Marvel Legends and not buy as many, but Marvel Legends still continues to make some really good figures. They made some characters I really wanted to get this year, so I did end up getting a bit over 10 figures, so I thought, well, might as well rank them down. But in front of you here are a couple of honorable mentions that didn't quite make the list. A couple of figures came this year I picked up that were surprisingly really good. Both from the Spider-Man retro wave, we have Hammerhead and the Shocker. And for my Marvel Legends, I focus now mainly on Spider-Man. So I don't get every version of Spider-Man, but I'll get some cool different versions of Spider-Man. I try to get as many of the different Spider-Man villains as they put out. And they put out a lot this year. Hammerhead, surprisingly really good. As you'll see from this list, I'm a big fan of the mobster supervillain characters. And Hammerhead's definitely one of those. And he has some reuse, some new bits. Pinless legs, the pinstripe suit looks really cool. I love that he has brass knuckles on his closed fist that say head on them. Accessories are decent, and the head sculpt on this guy is absolutely killer. Was not expecting a Hammerhead to look as good as this guy does, but he looks really, really good. And then the Shocker, classic Spider-Man villain. I never got the old one they did in the Bucky Cap mold, and I'm glad I didn't, because this one's new sculpt from head to toe. Good accessories with a couple pairs of hands, and the Shocker effects you can put around his wrist. All the pattern of his suit, this quilted pattern's all sculpted detail. Just really well articulated as well. Really, really great. This guy really almost made the list. It was so close. I'm not even like that big of a Shocker. I like the Shocker, but it's like not even close to being one of my favorite Spider-Man villains. But they did such a good job on this figure. It's a really, really good one. But that's pretty much it for them. So let's get on to the actual list. So at number 10, we have an MCU figure, and it is Mr. Knight from the Disney Plus Moon Knight series. I don't really collect MCU figures anymore. I sold off, I'd say, 80-90% of my MCU collection a little while back, and only kept the ones I really liked. But yeah, every once in a while there's an MCU figure character that I really want to have, and this year, yeah, the Moon Knight series, I really liked it. Didn't love everything about it. I don't think it was perfect, but I thought it was pretty good, and I really like the suit designs for the costumes in that show. I thought Mr. Knight was really cool. Kind of have him as a stand-in to a comic Mr. Knight because they look pretty similar. But I'm hoping maybe we'll get an actual comic-inspired Mr. Knight at some point. But this one's really nice. He's got a fair amount of new pieces. I believe this suited torso piece is new. He's got the cool head sculpt. I really like that. He's got pinless suited legs, which I think is very nice. Articulation's decent. If you're familiar with Marvel Legends, you'll know the suited bodies are always a bit awkward when it comes to posing, which I guess would be somewhat accurate, because if you've ever worn a suit, they are kind of awkward to move in. Accessories pretty good. He comes with closed fists, and he comes with grip hands and the batons that look really nice. Would have been really cool if it came with a Oscar Isaac interchangeable head sculpt. That would have been really cool. But as is, still a really cool release. Next up is a figure that I kind of forgot was even coming out until I saw it in stores. It is the Walmart exclusive retro Lizard. I never got that Hasbro Build-A-Figure, and honestly, I'm not a big fan of that Build-A-Figure. I don't think it's not really the design I like for the Lizard. And if I'm being completely honest, this one doesn't even hit the exact look for the Lizard I like. I kind of would like a Lizard to come out that kind of hits a medium, a balance between the two looks. A bit retro, but also a bit modern. I kind of wish he was a bit bigger, a bit bulkier, monstrous-like in that regard. But still kind of have the classic aesthetics, I guess. I don't know. If you get what I'm talking about, then you get it. If you don't, then you don't. But the figure's really nice. It comes with interchangeable head sculpts. I've got the more reptilian head sculpt on him with the tongue coming out. I would prefer this head sculpt, but he also comes with the more classic one, which is also really cool. Coat's nice. He's pinless, which is really good. Articulation is really well done as well. He's got an ab crunch, and he's got a normal ball joint, torso joint there. Interchangeable hands. 2 different flasks for his sciencey stuff, which is cool, and a bendy wire tail. He's got a lot of great stuff going on. A really nice release, and I'm really happy to finally have the Lizard in the collection. Next up at number 8 is the Iron Spider figure Big fan of the comic Iron Spider and Spider suit. I've read and owned all the comics of the original Civil War run where he wore this suit. So I have a fair amount of attachment to this suit. I really like, probably one of, if not my favorite alternate suit for Spider-Man. And I think the figure itself they did a pretty good job with. The biggest issue with this figure, which keeps him from being higher on the list, is the price point. He is insanely priced. I am kind of foolish that I paid the full price for it. But it's kind of one of those things where you walk in the store and you haven't really seen anything new in the store for a while. And this was sitting there on the shelf, so you decide to buy it because you're kind of in the toy drought when it comes to going in person. It's just one of those things. I don't regret buying it, but yeah, it's an overpriced figure for sure. But I think the plastic and paint details and colors they used on this figure are really nice. I really like the red, shiny red, and the gold. I think it looks really good. Articulation's pretty decent as well. The legs are super cool. He does come with a pair of interchangeable whip hands, which is nice. But for the price point of it being as expensive as it is, I think they could have delivered a little better. I think he could have came with more accessories, at least some open wall crawling hands. An unmasked Peter Parker sculpt would have been good. And the legs definitely, these robot legs definitely should have had more points of articulation. Apparently I've heard online and whatnot that they were promising, or Hasbro was saying that they're going to have points of articulation all throughout the legs, but then they ended up not having as much articulation as they said he was going to have, which is pretty sucky. They still pose pretty good, but there is definitely a fair amount of limitations that I feel like they just shouldn't have, especially at the price point. But still, really solid figure. And if you're Iron Spider fan, and if you can preferably find it on sale, then it's a great one to get. Next up is the Black Panther movie wave comic book Black Panther. When I saw this figure, is one I definitely wanted to get. I haven't owned any of the previous comic Black Panthers. I've had a couple of the movie ones. I ended up selling them. But I really wanted a comic one because I really like the comic look. And they delivered us this nice kind of more classic Black Panther figure. And it's pretty basic, on paper. It's just a black plastic body that has a bit of gray in the gloves and the boots. And you got a little bit of paint apps on the face. And he's got the cape, and that's about it. It's not too crazy. But it's simple but effective. He articulates really well and poses really nicely. He's fun to pose, which I think is big for a Black Panther figure. You should be able to get dynamic poses fairly easily, and you can do that with this figure. He does have the pinless tech, which looks really nice on him. I really like the head sculpt, even though he's wearing a full face mask, and they convey a decent amount of expression and personality with that head sculpt. I like the little cape thing he has, and you can take it off, which is cool as well. I did panel line the sculpted lines on his boots and gloves, and I think that looks a bit better. Now they don't come like that. I think really he could just come with some more accessories. He just comes with closed fists and kind of open hands. Well, I'd seen maybe another pair of hands that were a bit more actual clawing hands and just kind of like these open hands. Would have been really cool to get an unmasked T'Challa head sculpt, maybe like a spear or something as well. I know some of the previous Black Panther figures have come with spears or weapons like that. But still overall, really nice figure. I got this guy on sale on Black Friday, so I can't complain too much. Next up is a character I wanted the Marvel Legends Hasbro team to make for a long time. I think it's been long overdue, is Mr. Negative. Specifically, this is from Gameverse. He came in a 2-pack with one of his inner demons, but they look exactly the same as they do in the comics, so it's basically also a comic book Mr. Negative. And a new-ish Spider-Man villain. He's been around for like 15 years now, I think, but new compared to like someone like the Lizard, for example. But actually probably one of my favorite Spider-Man villains. I don't know why. Like I said, I'm just a big fan of kind of the mob-style villains. I think he's a super cool one. I think his powers are really cool. It's a really nice figure. The head sculpt and the paint on the head sculpt I think looks really good. Comes with some nice accessories. Comes with effect parts that go around his wrists. He comes with a new sword and a really cool, I think, a new effect part that goes around the sword, which is also really cool. Articulation is decent. He does reuse one of the older suited bodies, so it has the limitations that you'd expect from that. And the only real big issue I have with the figure, though, is for some reason in the packaging, his left leg came out warped. And I tried to heat it up and fix it, and it just went back to being warped. So I don't know if I need to put it in again, the heat again. But he has kind of an awkward looking stance. But aside from that, really nice. Really happy to finally have this character in the Spider-Man Rogues Gallery shelf. And he fell. Now we're getting to the top 5, and this is the Toy Biz Anniversary Captain America. A bit of a more expensive figure who's marked up a bit, but I feel like in this case the markup was a bit more justified. Came in that classic Toy Biz style packaging, and I'm not like a huge Captain America fan. I like him as much as the next guy, but when you're not American, he just doesn't really vibe as much as it might with an actual American. But I still really like the character, and I needed a Captain America, comic Captain America, for my classic Avengers. The only other Captain America I have is the World War II Legendary Riders one, which I really like. But I needed one that looked like this, and this one pretty much delivers exactly what I was looking for. Sculpt is great, paint is really good. I like the shading and the different stuff they got going on with this one. I think it looks really good. Articulation's good. Not pinless, but it doesn't bother me too much. A great array of accessories. I love the effect parts you can attach to the shield. It comes with electric one, these bullets or like slash effects and whatnot, which is super cool. You can store the shield on the back. He has actual good looking head sculpts. I feel for years and years that Captain America head sculpts have just not been that good. I feel like they just look too big and didn't look right. But he comes with the masked one and the unmasked sculpt, and they both, I think, look really good. I'm really happy with them. And just a really, really solid release. If you need a Captain America in the collection, you need to look no further than this one. Next up at number 4, this is another relatively recent release, or recent pickup rather. It is the Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man. And I've been rocking the Pizza Spider-Man for a long time, and I thought it was time to finally get a Spider-Man that uses a newer buck. And I decided to go with this one. I do kind of want to get the Renew Your Vows 2-pack, but I don't care that much for Spinneret, and I don't want to pay full price for that set, so I'm going to wait to see if I may get that on sale. But yeah, this is a really nice figure. I love the body mold. He's pinless. It has good proportions. It articulates really nice and smoothly, so you can get a ton of great posing. It's a really fun figure to pose. Looks great. The paint's all clean on it, which is nice. Comes with a bunch of accessories. He's got 2 different sets of these web armpit wing thingies that he has on this suit. It comes with a plethora of hands, web effect, or like strand of webbing you can use for different poses. Just really, really solid Spider-Man. Definitely one of the best ones I think you can get for the price. It is a bit more expensive than a standard release Marvel Legends, but I got this guy also alongside the Black Panther at Black Friday sale, and I got him less than a standard Marvel Legends figure. So for that price, 100% really, really worth the money. At number 3, we have another MCU figure. It is Moon Knight from the Moon Knight series, and I really like this Disney Plus design for the suit. It's definitely different, but still similar to comics. And I think it's definitely one of the nicest Marvel Legends I own in terms of like just how it looks. The sculpt and painted detail I think looks really, really good. I love how the cape and the hood are sculpted. And just the details on the armor and suit just look really nice. I'm really happy with how that's turned out. Pinless, which looks good. Articulation is decent. I feel like for Moon Knight, he should have a bit better articulation. I think he should have a bit more range of movement. He's a fairly dynamic character, but I can still get a good chunk of poses I want to get out of this guy. Accessories are good. He comes with 2 closed fists, grip hands, and a couple of his crescent blades. Again, would have been nice to get an unmasked Oscar Isaac, Mark Spector sculpt, but not a huge deal. Still a really, really nice figure. I always take a look at this figure on the shelf and I'm always impressed at how good it looks. And at number 2, maybe kind of a surprising one, but it is Jigsaw, who I think in the States was a Walgreens exclusive, but in Canada you can get him at GameStop. And yeah, again, like I said, big fan of the mob street crime kind of guys in the Marvel Universe. And it's also really cool to get an actual Punisher villain. Like he fights other guys in the comics, but he's pretty much a dedicated Punisher villain. We don't get too many of those. And I think they just kill it with this figure. A fair amount of reuse. He uses one of the suited bodies. I don't know which one, but it turns out pretty good. The white suit with the black shoes. And I like how they painted like the buttons on him. And the torso suit with the vest. I think it looks good. But the big thing with this guy is the head sculpt is absolutely killer. This thing is such a good head sculpt. It's gruesome looking. He's got all the scars and stitching and messed up mouth and messed up super wide eye. He looks crazed. I just absolutely love how this head sculpt looks. They did a killer job on this. It really elevates the figure in my opinion. And he also comes with a bunch of stuff. He came with like 2 knives, a machete, a baseball bat, this sawn-off shotgun, the 2 smoke effects, and 2 muzzle flash effects. Like he came with a bunch of stuff as well. So really, really, really good release. Maybe not the most exciting looking figure at first glance, but he really is a really solid release. And then at number one, there was no doubt in my mind this guy was going to be number one for me when it came to Marvel Legends. It is the, I believe again, Walgreens exclusive Baron Zemo, which again was available at GameStop in Canada. And this is a figure, a character and figure I wanted from Hasbro again for years. I didn't collect Marvel Legends when the modern Baron Zemo that Hasbro made with the Winter Soldier line came out. Let's use that Bucket Cat mold, which is a decent figure, but it got expensive because it was the only really good Baron Zemo out there. But now we have this one, and this one is awesome. This is the look I wanted with the fur and everything. Some reuse, but also some new sculpted parts. I absolutely love the head sculpt. I think that is absolutely excellent. I like that they actually painted in the lines on his mask there, which is super good. Articulation's great. Accessories are decent. He comes with a few hands, and he comes with a sword. I do wish he came with some more stuff, like a gun and maybe another smaller sword or something. Now the gun, I just took this gun from the MCU Baron Zemo. Actually, I thought the golden laser pistol worked pretty well with this guy. But yeah, just absolutely awesome. One of my favorite Marvel villains that they did a really, really good job on. I absolutely love this figure. I'm super happy he finally came out. And I've gotten a lot of stuff I've wanted to get from Marvel Legends this year. They checked off a lot of my boxes, which is nice. But overall, that is pretty much it. That is my top 10 Marvel Legends that I've got that were released in 2022 that I got. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. What were some of your guys' favorite Marvel Legends if you collect the line? And yeah, I will see you all in the next one.